Comic Book Wednesday, but not on a Wednesday. I apologize. We had a screener on Wednesday, and I was just tired afterwards. And also, I was not really sure I wanted to talk about this book in particular, Absolute Superman. Though this is one that is likely on your pull list, or let me say this. Let me say it this way: it's one that would be most likely on your pull list of all the comics I've talked about because it is currently coming out and it's pretty recent. For those not in the know, Absolute Superman is part of the Absolute Universe. We all should be familiar with the multiverse by now, right? It's been talked about ad nauseum the last couple of years. Well, in DC's last crossover called Absolute Power, fantastic read, which I'll have to talk about. Every time I do one of these, I mention something else that I need to talk about. I don't know why, but Absolute Power was a fantastic DC crossover. Basically ended with the creation of this absolute universe that holds different versions of characters that we know. Like there's an absolute Batman, an absolute Superman, absolute Wonder Woman, and all the characters that we know, like their version of Lois Lane or Peacemaker or Brainiac and things like that, right? So Superman is my all-time favorite character. And I got to admit, when I was reading this, I was not sure I liked it, which is why I didn't know if I was going to talk about it. But the sixth issue did just come out last week, and after reading this entire first arc, I think I'm on board. I think I'm on board now. Let's talk about it. So, Absolute Superman is written by Jason Aaron, one of the best writers of our time. He gave us Thor: The God Butcher arc, one of the best Thor stories you'll ever read. If you haven't read it, you need to. And something else I need to talk about in the future. If you have read it, you're probably like me and you were not happy with the MCU rendition of it. Just a terrible rendition of that character. They did not show how cool he was in that story arc. It was just it was not done justice. We were way too nice to it in our review, now that I think back on it. But I digress. Anyway, Jason Aaron is the writer. So, they got me enthused. But this story, we kind of have, and again, minor plot details here. I promise I'm not going to give away anything major, just enough plot for you to get caught up. But we have two stories happening, right? So we have this version of Superman, a younger version, in his early 20s or maybe late teens, not early 20s. This version who's still learning his powers. And he is dealing with this corporation named Lazarus, which is basically like this, this group of corporate thugs that you've seen in every movie who, they're infringing on the rights of the poor in other countries, excuse me, forcing them to work mines and refine minerals for them in order to make themselves rich. And they are doing it very violently through the use of their peacemakers. Again, another spin on a character we know. Superman is basically fighting them and trying to liberate the people using his powers, in the right way. So that core thing about Superman, alien from another planet who comes here and still wants to do good and still wants to help people, that's still in him. Even if this character is pretty different in a lot of other ways, that core is still there. So I appreciate that. So we have that storyline with him fighting Lazarus. There's another storyline that takes place on Krypton. We see the last days of Krypton. The story is old as time. Jor-El finds out the planet's exploding, and he's trying to save people, and ultimately Krypton is going to explode, right? So as I'm reading this first issue, I really was not into the Lazarus storyline. We see people talk about Superman and how he's been there, and he's new to the world, so people are like, who is this guy who's coming to help them? We send them into the mines and they're refining stuff way faster than they should be. They're, because, he's doing it for them to, save them from the dangers of the mine. Or, their peacemakers are hurting people. Then all of a sudden those peacemakers are taken out by some force that, they don't know. So the people they're infringing upon, of course, come to love and appreciate Superman. The corporation hates Superman. Now, an interesting spin, Lois Lane in this universe works for that corporation. And, so she and Superman get off to the wrong foot. So that was kind of an interesting thing. But I gotta say, man, I really, this whole evil corporation Superman is fighting against, that storyline wasn't doing it for me. And then the Krypton storyline, at first, I was like, yo, can we hurry up and get through this? I know how this is going to end. Krypton is going to explode. But here's the thing. The Krypton storyline is actually very, very interesting because of two things. Number one, we get to see a lot more of Krypton society in this one, and they are very classist. Like the scientists, the elite of their society, all dressed in these extravagant gowns, and they wear cloaks with like a symbol of a sun on it to show their status. And Superman symbol, the symbol of the House of El, which we've learned means hope, and it was the symbol of a great house. Everybody who's basically a blue collar worker or a laborer in their society who's not a scientist wears that. And it's a symbol of shame, apparently. So his parents are considered low class people who aren't worth anything. And it gets even more interesting. And again, this is where I'm going to get a little more into the plot. Superman is actually alive. Like, he's not a baby. He is a full, 7 or 8 year old child on Krypton. He's experienced life in this universe on his planet. And when his father discovers that the planet's exploding, we learn there's a conspiracy going on, because unlike in the story we know, Jor-El finds out, he tries to tell people, they're like, no, you're crazy, nothing's going to happen. Then he ships his son away to Earth. In this version, the scientists know. They know the planet's exploding too, right? And they are plotting to escape themselves and leave everybody. So it's very interesting to see that dynamic where it's like, okay, so the Kryptonians know this. They're building a bunch of ships, and a bunch of them are planning to leave. And, so the higher classes are doing that. And even though they're lower class, Jor-El and Lara, Superman's parents, are still very much geniuses. So they can build their own ship and escape as a family together. So that story was quite interesting, seeing Kryptonian society, the classism there, the way they treat lower people. And, reading that, then you start to understand why this Superman in the present day is the way he is. Because at first I'm like, dude, you're like just way too mellow for me. Like, or not mellow, but like down in the dirt. You don't seem to care about anything. Like, dude, like, come on, man. You're supposed to be a symbol of hope here. But when you learn what he went through and what he's dealing with now, which I won't spoil, you start to understand. You're like, okay, all right. So the Krypton storyline actually made me appreciate the modern day storyline more, even though I really still don't care about Lazarus or whoever is who is behind it was revealed. That's pretty cool. Like the big boss on top of Lazarus, I was like, oh wow, I did not expect this person to show up. Yeah, that first issue, I have to say, is probably by far the worst. But if you get past that, issue 2 through 6 so far, the world building and story building and learning more about the character's past, it's been A1. I've really learned to appreciate it. This version of Superman, he has all our guys' powers. He seems to have a little bit more. How our Superman has I forget what it's called, but he can basically explode and become and he'll become human for a day after he does it. I forget what they call it, but he can do that, but in shorter bursts, and he seems to be able to control it more, and he doesn't automatically lose all his powers. He is very angry, and he is very much willing to resort to violence a lot quicker than Superman we know. Something, a lot of people appreciate, some might not like, but when he sees what Lazarus is doing to people, he is quick to lay hands down. He's not here to negotiate or talk. Even though he still doesn't kill. He also has a suit. His suit, I think, is actually one of the more interesting aspects of him. It's pretty cool. He has an AI, kind of like Iron Man's Jarvis or Friday, that he speaks to, and it helps him. So, if he's handcuffed or something, he's like, suit, get me off these handcuffs. And the suit will be like, all right, let me see what I can do. His suit actually acts as his cape. So his cape isn't made of fabric. It's like made of like some sort of like dust or nanobites or something. And like the cape can separate from his body and go do stuff for him while he's dealing with something else. And speaking of, now that I think about that, I'm looking up his name, Rafa Sandoval, the artist here. I don't think I appreciate that's something else I appreciated in the second book on. The art is really good. It does a great job in showing off his powers and showing off what he can do. There's one panel in particular that somewhat reminded me of that panel from Astonishing X-Men where like, Cyclops takes off his visor and like the whole screen goes red with his heat vision. They kind of do something like that that shows like, yo, Superman's heat vision is very painful here and it will hurt people. And then he does a great job of just showing like there's chaos all around him. And you actually kind of feel like you're in it with him, you know, like it does a great job of bringing you in, which I think if an artist can do that, they've done their job. But yeah, I'm not gonna keep you too long. Absolute Superman. I do think it's an interesting take on this character. I love the Krypton take. I really think a lot of people will like it. If you're a Superman fan, I think you'll like it. I love seeing, you know, it's showing what Clark would have been like if he was raised on Krypton before coming to Earth. So I think that's dope. This Lazarus storyline, like I said, I wasn't really feeling it. It does get better once you know, start to learn why Superman is the way he is, why this Superman is the way he is. And like I said, there was a big reveal about the boss of Lazarus, and that actually has me looking forward to it because I'm like, wow, it's a character we all know, and I'm like, I did not expect this person to be the boss. So thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, I'll keep reading and let me know what you think if you check it out. Appreciate you guys, and until next time, I'm out.